Eternal Strands. Bro, what the fuck? Eternal Strands, you know, the game that lets you climb pretty much any surface in an attempt to get absolutely dunked on by big ass monsters that want nothing more but to use your scrawny little span as their toothpick. You know, the game that seems like it's the love child of Tears of the Kingdom and Fenyx Rising with a little shadow of the Colossus sprinkled on top for good measure. Look, I jumped into this game not knowing anything really, apart from what that little window on the Game Pass PC app shows you and the little background information underneath that is also often very generic and doesn't really give an idea of what the game was like. And based off the trailer alone I saw on the XBZ app, I did not expect what I ended up playing, in all honesty, and that was awesome. In all honesty, that was just great. By Yellow Brick Games, if you're listening to this video right here, bro, fire that guy who or girl who designed that trailer right now. Fire their ass, man. What the hell? The trailers do zero justice to this game, in all honesty. So without any more filler, let's get into whatever the fuck this game is and if you should be playing it. Now, this game from the off tries a bit of everything, in all honesty. It's kind of all the spices and throws a bunch of different mechanics at you to learn, use, and abuse, of course. But one thing I found Eternal Strands to really stand out in are the conversations super early on as well with the other NPC characters, because man, why is everyone so freaking cheery and motivating? Like, I can't be the only one who's noticed that, but every conversation ends up with some little motivational tidbit or sentence that makes you wonder, man, if I had people like this around me in real life, I could defeat any freaking beast or arc monster. Like, damn, the dialogue in this game, man, the options in the dialogue all made me want to become a better human being, my broski. But as I say that, there is also some generic stuff here, admittedly, as well as in the personalities in general, because these characters, none of them really stand out in any special way, apart from the guy who looks like the weird character, the guy who looks like the weird race from Guild Wars 2. I don't know if you know that weird horned beast looking guy. Sev, his name is Sev. But that don't matter, because the kernel of the game is the moment to moment stuff, and that is fun, to say the very least. On your way to extinctivizing the Surgeborn, you'll have some options in terms of choice of death dealing. And while you start the game off with a basic sword and shield and a bow, of course, it's not long before you get the ability to telekinesis and use ice powers as well, or ice power as. And I do have to stop inventing words, in all honesty. But that's not all, as you also get a heavy sword to use and other magic powers as well, thanks to essentially your fashion sense in the form of different mantles. Now, these mantles can be crafted by Dom. I think his name is Dom. He looks cool. He's a weird, cool looking dude, but in any case, he crafts mantles or helps you craft mantles that you get these special materials from beasts, the different arc creatures, as well as lesser drakes, some weird rhino looking guy, the Triceratops. What the fuck is that called? It's a weird character, it's a weird creature, but in any case, that's how you pretty much get the materials to craft those special things to be able to upgrade your elemental powers. And there's three that I know of. There's psychic, there's fire, and there's ice. You can upgrade these, and all of them come in 3 different forms, which you can then upgrade, of course, and they all do different kinds of things. Like, one is a suit of armor that is like ice, it's made out of ice. One is like a fiery minion that you can do, and there's one that really just throws people around. Which the balance is off, but it's fun. That's pretty much the most fun thing, the telekinesis things where you can just throw people around. You can also craft different elemental variants of these 3 weapons, but there's also armor, which gives you some options in terms of damage dealing, damage protection, as well as some bonus stats thrown in there. And it really lets you customize your build, because there isn't really any leveling up or point allocation in stats. So for us RPG broskis out there, but I do have to say, leveling up your gear to higher tiers or crafting new gear with purple or gold materials and seeing those +4 bonuses all over the place really tickles the old stat goblin inside of me, man. And that kind of segues us, oddly enough, to the next topic, which is the combat and how it feels in general, because I've seen a lot of people criticize this game for the combat, saying that this is pretty much the weakest link. And that's pun intended to Legend of Zelda, of course. But before we get to that point, I do want to mention that if you're liking this video so far and want to support the channel on our way to the ever so looming 1K, then subscribing and liking the video is like literally the best way to do so. So man, I'll give you 2 seconds. Let's get on with the video. Combat in the game is somewhat of a mixed bag so far, and I gotta be honest with that. But by mixed bag, I mean, you know when you get a bag of candy that you really like, and like 70% of the content of the bag is good candies, and the rest is like, you gotta eat them because they're there. But yeah, the combat is exactly that so far. And mind you, I'm like 10-ish hours into the game, so I haven't unlocked everything there is to unlock yet. But so far, using the 3 weapons and fire, ice, and psychic magic are all viable and do feel distinct enough from each other in more than just looks, but also they all have their own different uses and really allows for a lot of flexibility and fun in combat. This is a lot of fun. One little complaint that I do have with regards to the combat so far is that I wish there was a bit more enemy variety and maybe a bit more elemental weakness stuff in the game, because there's a heavy, and I mean heavy, emphasis on melting ice blocks with fire, or alternatively freezing fiery hallways with ice. I don't know, man, I had to make sure that you understood my reference of freezing with ice, whatever. But in the enemies, there doesn't seem to be too much effect in using these opposite elements, because they're all just weak to physical damage. So bro, man, you can just swing hard enough, they will fall quick enough. And I do hope that sounds as cool to you as it did in my head just now. You can also pick up most smaller enemies with telekinesis. So if there's any cliff nearby, you can just fling these enemies off the cliff. Like, who doesn't like flinging enemies off cliffs with telekinesis? And it's very easy to do, and like it kind of makes you not even go through the whole elemental hassle, in all fairness. But it's still, man, that is just so much fun to do. Like, there's enemies who look intimidating when you get close to them. You can just fling them off cliffs. Like, that's so fun. And on the subject of telekinesis, man, what a missed opportunity it is to use your powers to lift up bridges or build blocks or move some blocks on top of each other to get to otherwise hard to reach places. I mean, this game takes a lot of cues from Tears of the Kingdom or the newer Legend of Zelda games. If you know, you know, of course. While taking those cues, I think there's a missed opportunity in being able to use your telekinesis to at least build stuff, like at least reconstruct some bridges or do any of that stuff, man. It's not really explained on why you have these powers or how a scarf makes you use these powers and why no one else has these powers. I mean, you're called a weaver, I think it's called, and those have some special abilities, but it's not really explained apart from that little conversation that you have with the owl looking lady. Like, I gotta be honest, man, the game has a lot of systems built around different mechanics in the game, but sometimes it makes you wonder, like, were they on the last stretch of development before deciding, oh, you know what would be really cool? Telekinesis, man. Now, on the subject of afterthoughts, and that joke was an afterthought as well, man, I really was expecting this to be more of a Shadow of the Colossus inspired game with all the advertising that was done. That, yes, I still haven't forgiven them for it, but I was half expecting there to be more giant arc dudes to fight, as well as maybe some more variety with them as well. I mean, maybe it does change later on in the game, so I will keep you updated on that once I do eventually make my retrospective review on it. But for now, the arcs seem more like an environmental thing than actual giants to be felled, and I hope that's a real word. Admittedly, you do get really good materials from them, as well as just upgrading your mantle on top of additional powers that you can get. So while it seems a bit more optional at this point, there is still very much an incentive to take these creatures down whenever you can, and if you can, of course. And the addition of biological monsters as well was cool, but again, I was half expecting there to be a bit more of these creatures. So as I'm sitting here, I kind of feel like I want a bit more, in all honesty. But wanting more is always a good thing, because if a game is fun to play and the mechanics are cool, then of course you want to play more of it. And this is one of those games that, so far at least, is a lot of fun to just mindlessly play. The plot is okay, good. I mean, I'm not following it that intensely, and having positive people around you that talk so much good shit, man, that makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. And Bryn herself has some good responses in dialogue in general. Like, even if it doesn't make a real difference in the outcome, the options there are pretty cool. The game also indirectly wants you to explore the different maps and find the hidden caches of materials or blueprints, and that is awesome, because I do love a game where the open world actually has meaning apart from just elongating your playtime by making you run around like a freaking rented mule. This does ultimately now bring us to the rating system that is so omnipresent in all of my WTF is or was videos. And man, I'm very fancy with the words today, right? In any case, if you're new here, I rate games on a 3-tier list system of day one buys, maybe waits, or only fans, pun intended. Now this game, apart from like there's a cool setting, there is a cool plot, there are cool mechanics, I'd still put this on a maybe wait kind of game, because if you have Game Pass, for example, that's there, you can download it. I won't say free, but it's part of the Game Pass ecosystem, so you might as well get that there if you can. And also nowadays maybe get Game Pass for like $1 or €1, whichever your currency is, so you can get that game for €1. So why would you pay full price? I think this game is also like one of those games where it's not actual full price, it's like more of a indie game, I think. I don't know how big Yellow Brick Studios is in general, but so far so good, man. I'm eagerly waiting to play this game some more, to actually make my retrospective review on it, because I'm liking the system so far. There are some things here that I wish were done a bit better, like the variety in the combat, the variety in the attacks could use a little bit of work. I like the elemental additions or elemental skills that the different weapons have once you craft them, but apart from that, like all of them just do physical damage, and I've seen that to be an issue so far, at least, where it looks cool to have a fire fire or ice sword, but apart from that, they don't really do much else in terms of damage to elementally weak things, and I do hope that makes any sense. But the real question at the end of the day is, should you play this game? Bro, how the fuck should I know? I'm just a gamer on the internet telling you I like this game so far at least, and hope some people will talk about it some more as well. So let me know your comments down below in the comments section, my broski. Let me know if you've played this game, if you're looking to pick this game up anytime soon, if you've played it, finished it, spoiler free of course. Tell me if the combat, if the stuff actually gets better, if the meat, the carne gets cooked a bit more, if that makes any sense. I'm making a lot of carne references across the board. In any case, that pretty much wraps it up for me. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, man, like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course. You're so close to 1K, so I'd love to have you on board. Man, your support means the world to me, and I think every content creator says that, in all honesty. In any case, I don't really know how to end this video, so enjoy the meme in the outro. In the meanwhile, click this link, click that link. Man, enjoy all of the rest of the videos. I'll catch you guys in the next upload. Keep on trucking, my dudes. Peace.
Let's have it. Let's have it. Let's have it. Let's have it. Come on, baby. Let's have it.
Okay.
How's it?